All right. So hi everyone. Thank you for coming to our summer briefing. This year we're focusing on the Indo-Pacific region because of our shared history and our common interest. Um, I hope that today we could share our progress very freely and also encourage our collaboration together. My title today is Strengthen Public Information Literacy in Taiwan, Research and Communications. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Taiwan's context, introduce ourselves a little bit at IORG, and also what we do in research and communications. As Jeff said, I'm one of the director at IORG. I'm very happy to share our experiences with you and hopefully get your feedback on our work. So a very, very brief context of Taiwan as a country. In short, our democracy and in turn, our information environment is very young. 35 years and counting. We experience here some problems in our information environment, pretty much as much as you would probably experience in your own country. In terms of information manipulation, which is our topic today, our first major sort of fake news event happened in 2018, where we had our local elections and referendums back then. IORG right now is working on a research project to better understand what happened back then and perhaps hopefully offer better advice for this year's election that is coming up in November here in Taiwan. So who are we? IORG does two things, research and communications. Everything is based on our research and specifically data science research. We've been developing our own information archiving system since 2019, and we collect a lot of different data from different sources, both from Taiwan and in China. Based on our data archive, we can develop all kinds of research methodologies, and we published a paper last year in 2021 talking about how rumors spread during COVID-19 in Taiwan's closed social networking platform. But we all know that research in itself is not enough. We think to strengthen our democracy, we need a better informed electorate. So that's why we not only need more communication, we need better communication. We need communications that people can trust, that they have a reason to trust. So that's why we've been publishing research reports that's based on our data science research. We provide evidence for our readers to make their own informed decisions. We also know that online communication is definitely not enough. So we also have been hosting physical events, such as community workshops and teachers training session. Particularly, we think that working with school teachers in middle and high school is very important. That's so that they can teach information literacy better to better prepare our next generation to participate in our public discourse. So a brief summary of our research finding in 2021. So based on our data research, we have provided detailed evidence of CCP's continued information manipulation against us, which means that Chinese outlets have been continuing spreading bad information or problematic information into Taiwan's information environment, try to influence Taiwanese readers. Some of the topic included saying good things about China's vaccine, bad things and untruthful things about Taiwanese vaccines, US pork, which is being imported into Taiwan, criticizing Taiwan's allies, including the US and also Japan, and of course, criticizing Taiwan's current government of quote unquote plotting for independence. We also found support of these Chinese narratives from Taiwan, including some of the local media outlets here, some celebrities, politicians, and so-called island netizens. That is a phrase that the Chinese Communist Party outlet use to sort of quote internet comments to support of their own narratives. Our data science research also found that not every piece of bad information comes from China, right? There's also notable domestic narratives that are doing bad things, influencing our public discourse. One common and recurring theme is something called rigged votes or rigged elections that always appear around elections. Since these narratives comes from Taiwan, spoken by Taiwanese people, they are technically or almost all of them are protected by our constitution as a free democracy. So that's why we think to better strengthen our democracy, we need better public information literacy and better public trust. Some of the more recent research this year, in March, we studied Mandarin narratives that relates to the Russia-Ukraine war that is still going on right now. These narratives we found mainly do three things. One, to justify Russia's invasion into Ukraine. Two, to create confusion about the war. Three, to demoralize defense. That is to say that Ukraine cannot defend itself, and an extension saying that Taiwan cannot defend itself. To share our research further, we also worked with Ukraine-Taiwan Forum to produce a Ukrainian version of our report. In March, we did a report on Chinese official narratives praising Chinese strategy in controlling COVID-19, or what they call dynamic COVID-0 strategy. These narratives also criticize the West of giving up and what they say lying flat and coexist with the virus, and ended up comparing Chinese governance model and saying that it is more superior to the Western model. Just last month, we did a report exposing something called a clustered posting on Facebook, which is a group of Facebook page posting the same thing in a very short amount of time. That report got a lot of attention here in Taiwan, and also highlighted Facebook as a platform probably needs to work a little harder in terms of reducing the reach of these suspicious content farms on their own platform. One ongoing research project that we are going right now is reviewing what we call the US skepticism here in Taiwan's information environment. And so far, we've structured or categorized these narratives into 5 categories: abandonment, strength, chaos, fake friends, and collusion. And all of these narratives has sort of a common effect, is that to make Taiwan keep neutral and do not provoke China, and to keep distance from the US. We'll be happy to share our completed research with all of you, and I'll also look forward to your input since this is probably a common issue in our region. So next is communications. I want to mention just 2 things. One is our book that's been published, I think last month, middle of last month. This book was really designed to be a guide to information literacy for especially middle and high school students and teachers. It will serve as an overview of our information environment, and also points out the challenges that we face, such as information manipulation that we're talking about today, and other things such as propaganda. In this book, we also propose something called information credibility evaluation framework. That is something that we think would help us to understand and in a more structured way decide if a piece of information is credible or trustworthy or not. We think we are currently in a process of developing this framework to become an open standard, meaning that it has to be more inclusive, but also based on concrete scientific and academic research. We're even talking to, for example, cognitive neuroscientists to figure out what a message would do to a person to influence their behavior, and so on and so forth. Recently, my colleagues and I started a sort of a social media campaign to sort of use this framework to evaluate popular rumors that's been spreading in Taiwan's information space. For example, these are 3 examples that we did 3 weeks, past week, and then a week before that, and then 1 week before that. So we think this might be a really good start for people to know about, these are the common rumors that's being spread in our information space that we need to take notice of, and 2, to compare results. For example, one rumor, two people might have different evaluation results for one rumor, and if we offer them a framework, it would, and that we hope this would inspire a more constructive and more structured discussion on what to trust and what not to trust, and why do you trust and why do you trust that. We think this will be better for our public discourse in Taiwan. So To briefly conclude, I want to say thank you. Thank you to IORG's partners. We would not be able to do what we do without our partners, including TAF today. Thank you very much. And also, I want to thank you for coming to listening to our sharing. And hopefully, we will have a very fruitful discussion very soon. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Chihhao, for following the rules. It's like exactly 10 minutes. Thank you for that. It's a very precise and concise presentation.